Okay, folks, it's day 43 of Nofap, so I'm a couple days away from being at the halfway mark to 90 days. I know I haven't posted all that much lately. I've, kind of been busy and kind of just been really tired for a number of reasons, but yeah, and I've just, I've been focused on a lot of other stuff going on, but I'm still going on the Nofap. Like I said, I'm closing out 45 days, which would be halfway to the 90-day mark. And what else? I have passed a major milestone in terms of finances. I'd like to talk about that in another video in a little more detail, but it has to do with a certain student loan that I was working on paying off. I finally got the final payment put through for that, so like I said, I'll talk more detail about that in a separate video because that's not, no FAP related. But I've been feeling relatively decent, I'd say, in terms of sort of my mental emotional state. I think once you get past that sort of month-long mark, and especially once you start knocking on some more days after that, you've gone far enough that that maybe things start to settle into a relatively sort of stable state of affairs. But a lot of it probably also has to do with the fact that I have this job and I'm making some money, and I have I'd say for the most part I got decent coworkers. As compared to the last place. At the very least, this place is a kind of spot where I can, at the very least, I can just work and make money and gain some industry experience. And there's a possibility of moving into other departments and that sort of thing. But at the very least, for the next few months, I can hopefully just have a stable source of income and be making progress in other areas of life. Given that it is, what is this? I think it's the 16th of August. Obviously, I'm looking towards the future. And in a couple weeks, classes do start up at some of the community colleges and obviously at the university. But I would need to get the ball rolling probably in the next few days on getting some paperwork filled out to just basically be registered at one of those community colleges, and then essentially get signed up for some courses. I've been debating it whether or not to do this, but given that I'm going to have to go back and retake differential equations, which is I think it's the highest math class they're required for engineering students undergrad. And given that differential equations in many ways is kind of like the culmination of all these other math classes, and given that it would give me the opportunity again to raise my GPA, I'm probably going to go through the calculus, the cycle, Calc 1, 2, and 3. The irony is I've kind of been wanting to go back and retake those and get my knowledge and understanding solidified, because honestly, aside from using that to sort of prepare for differential equations and to get my my math knowledge up in general, well, I'm kind of transitioning into talking about plans, and going into the future, because that's where my mind has shifted to as I've gone further in NoFap, the streak. But I think back to when I was taking those courses the first time around, and in a lot of cases I had to retake them back then. But what was going on at that point in time, and this is a time when also incidentally, you talk about this being a NoFap channel, predominantly, PMO was such a huge problem for me. That combined with all the other things that were happening in life, I don't think I really got that solid of an understanding of the material. And what ended up occurring in the long run was that when I got to the upper division engineering courses that kind of expected you to understand this stuff thoroughly enough, Um, I obviously like struggled with a lot of this stuff, and with my plans to go into graduate school specifically for biomedical engineering, I I would really want to go back and sort of fill in the gaps in my understanding, because that sort of stuff is sort of the basis for being a solid engineer, and also just in terms of practical matters, like I said, going into graduate school or trying to get into graduate school, um, it's not just that the expectation from others is going to be a certain way, but the fact is, like, I don't want to be struggling with what at that level is treated as very basic concepts or so, and I kind of think like I need a refresher. I need a way to sort of like I said, fill in the gaps in my understanding. Because like I remember like sitting in a lot of those upper division engineering courses in undergrad and drawing a blank on some things, and I'd have to go look stuff up again because it was like stuff that maybe I'd covered in 2013, 2014, and there I am sitting in some class like what would it be like? Maybe even back to 2011 or 2010, from that period. And I'm sitting in some class in like 2018. And I go on like, I've heard that term before, but it's been 5 years or something like that. And when you're already like having to devote time to just understanding some new concept, it's really not helpful to have to go and yet again in tandem review all this stuff, and it becomes incredibly inefficient, especially when you got you got the exams and you got assignments and all this sort of stuff, and I would just want to be going into those biomedical engineering courses like knowing a lot of the stuff like the back of my own hand, that sort of deal. And of course, there's like even more sort of highfalutin. I know it's sort of an old way of putting it, but what do you call it? Maybe not just idealistic, but stuff further off in the future, the potential possible future, that would require me to have gone back and taken these courses to get an even better grade. And I don't really want to talk about that. I think I may have mentioned it in passing in the past, but basically going through the calculus cycle again would really like take care of that. Assuming obviously that I get the grades I need to get. That's all is the key. Then in tandem with that, I wanted to start taking like general chemistry and general physics again. Some of the classes I did, technically speaking, get a good enough grade, but again, so much of this is about not only like boosting my GPA, but also filling in the gaps in my understanding and sort of washing away a lot of sort of the residue, if you will, of the past in terms of intellectual understanding, and also just almost like when I had to sit there and think back and go, okay, so when did I learn this concept? And then maybe I remember stuff that was going on at that time, as opposed to remembering the concept itself. I would just rather have it fresh in my mind from relatively recent. So I want to take general chemistry 1, and I want to take calculus 1, and then the idea would be next semester would be a calculus 2, general chemistry 2, and then after that, the next 2 semesters would be like physics 1 and physics 2, general physics 1, general physics 2, calculus-based physics 1 and 2, and then finish up with like calculus 3, and then differential equations. And other than that, I think at that point the remaining courses would probably be like, I think there's like a circuits class, I have to take. I never really got to taking. Well, I actually got that. I did take it, but I had the requirement waived. They changed the requirements for the chemical engineering undergrad, but I'd have to go and take that. And I think beyond that, the only other course after that circuits class is like mechanics and materials, which is essentially equivalent to the one that I was taking this last semester and had to withdraw from. And they do allow you to take one or the other to fulfill the requirements. So at that point, I think the last set of courses I'd have to take would be essentially a circuits class and then mechanics and materials. Everything else, I think I've completed some equivalent for in the past, or they're courses that you can't enroll in as an open university student, sort of externally. You have to be a fully matriculated, student at the university, and they offer them only there. So, at that point, I think if I got through that mechanics and materials course, then it'd be okay, you can apply, and I would, assuming I got A's, that's sort of the goal, getting A's, that I would have the GPA to get in, and I'd be, basically set for that. Other than that, the other stuff I've obviously been working on are these Udemy courses, and honestly, I'm kind of stuck right now. I almost feel a little burnt out, but I also want to just kind of get some of them done, enough to at least be halfway done now, and then I can, the plan would be get the other half done over the winter break. And I think 2 or 3 of them are just kind of preparatory courses for an actual certification exam. So, they're not the kind of courses I would necessarily list on my LinkedIn or my resume, but they be sort of almost like taking a preparatory course for the SAT or the ACT, that sort of thing, and then you actually go take the actual exam, and then your actual score is what counts. But aside from that, I'd say the one thing that I've been doing that I feel like it's a necessity right now for sort of, psychological wellness, but it's mostly been a sort of vicariously living, through other people's lives or accomplishments. Obviously, my goal is, with regards to that, is to get to a point where I'm no longer vicariously living through other people. I go on YouTube and especially I consume political content and current affairs content. I'm become kind of a junkie for that. I will step away from that and I'll watch camping videos or hunting videos, wilderness survival content, a lot of sailing stuff right now. And that's kind of interesting to me in a sense, because I've kind of had sort of a, I wouldn't say a fear of the ocean, but you watch stuff like Jaws and you're just I'm never going into the water without one of those titanium alloy suits on or something like that, even though in some cases that probably wouldn't even save you. It would be more of a psychological thing. Or going into the water, in the middle of the ocean, you'd only go in with inside of a cage or so. But I've been watching this one dude who, and maybe it's some of it's the details of his story, some of the medical issues he'd gone through, and he's still no, I'm gonna power through this. I'm gonna go live my life. I'm gonna sail across the Atlantic or the Pacific all on my own, even though I've had this medical issue and I had to have surgery for it, but I'm not letting that stop me, sort of a thing. And it's and him having his really positive attitude about life is you watch that kind of stuff and you're life can still be an adventure. Even if you had some bad stuff going on, you can overcome it. That sort of thing, you can, cope with it. But I watched that, and, you could say, like, there's something metaphorical in that kind of stuff. Like, you think about, oh, you got your ship and you're sailing across the ocean, and, the ocean is the world, and your ship is your life, and all that sort of stuff. But it gives me some sort of, hope, or some sort of dreams of, okay, like, I get this Nofap thing down, knock out these classes, get my finances straightened out, get the money I need, take care of my health, all that sort of stuff. Keep my head low, so to speak. Don't get involved in too many political debates or whatever the case may be. Just keep working at you're at the grindstone, so to speak, and in due time I can be able to live a kind of life where I could do stuff like that. And I actually do want to get into sailing. I do want to get into like mountaineering or mountain climbing. I got a book on that subject, just like sort of a guide to it. There's the things I want to do, and it's sort of like it's sort of an interesting observation that sort of crossed my mind a number of times. But I'm kind of putting it out here. Maybe I have said it before, maybe I haven't. But at least as I've gotten older, it's kind of like when I was a kid. It was very much, kid and adolescence, child to adolescence, and some of my, young adulthood, it's very much like, computer game oriented. And there are still games I'd play. There's still, there are games I want to learn to make, but it's almost like taking that from that level and scaling it up to my life, So if I had the money, it's not like it's not like I would be against building a ultimate gaming PC and getting that sort of stuff, but it would be like wanting to sort of gamify life in a sense. Obviously within reason. Like, if you're going sailing, you still gotta take into account safety issues and whatnot. You don't want to be just going out there, unprepared and whatnot. Same thing as mountaineering or hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, whatever, or different sports or whatever. But I kind of see that would be sort of the ultimate sort of thing, that it's like, okay, it's almost like toys for adults or games for adults. It's like, okay, you're out there actually like physically doing something. You're not just sitting inside playing a video game, wishing you were out there doing something, wishing it was real life. But anyways, that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Most of it's just, keep my head low, keep my nose to the grindstone, keep working, keep slogging through my plan, financially speaking and educationally speaking and health-wise and all that. And, hopefully, I get to the end of this process, the stage of the process. The process goes on until you draw your last breath on this earth, in this world. But hopefully get to the end of this stage of the process, and I can go and do a lot of those things that I've been wanting to do, and live less vicariously and more in reality. So anyways, that's it for me for right now. I think after this I'm gonna go and record that other video. It's just another Journey Out of Debt update. It's not it's not like, I don't know, it might seem like not a big thing, but it's a big thing for me, and so that's why I'm continuing on with that series. But anywho, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, the support. Appreciate it, and take care, and I'll hopefully see you guys around, see you folks around. Bye bye.